Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today we're tackling something that might sound simple but has a huge impact on early learning environments: classroom dividers. And we're asking, how can these tools actually optimize traffic flow in preschool classrooms? Joining me is an expert who's spent years working with preschool administrators on creating better learning spaces. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. When people hear classroom dividers, they often think it's just about blocking off space, but it's so much more than that. The real focus is creating intentional zones that actually support how young children learn and move.
Right, and that's what we want to unpack today. So let's start broad. Why should preschool administrators even care about traffic flow? What's the real issue here?
Great question. The average preschool classroom has around 20 students, and in an open floor plan, that can get chaotic fast. Without clear pathways and defined zones, you get bottlenecks, distractions, and even safety hazards. Kids bump into each other, noise levels spike, and teachers struggle to manage the room. Strategic space division transforms those chaotic open areas into purposeful, manageable learning zones.
Interesting. So dividers are essentially creating structure where there wasn't any before. What kinds of zones are we talking about?
Exactly. Think about dividing space into distinct areas, like a reading nook, an art corner, or a sensory zone. Each area serves a specific purpose. When children know where to go for different activities, they move through the room more independently. That frees up teachers to focus on individual needs rather than constantly directing traffic.
That's a practical benefit. And I imagine it helps with focus too, right? Reducing distractions?
Absolutely. Dividers act as filters. They physically block distracting sightlines and absorb sound, which lowers cognitive load for children. In fact, sound-absorbing dividers can reduce noise levels by up to 65%. The World Health Organization recommends keeping classroom noise below 35 decibels for optimal learning in early childhood settings. So this is critical.
Wow, 65%. That's significant. So we're talking about both visual and acoustic benefits here.
Yes, and the acoustic piece is often overlooked. A noisy environment makes it harder for kids to concentrate, regulate their emotions, and engage in activities. Quiet spaces, like a reading nook or sensory area, give children a place to decompress when they're overstimulated. That supports emotional regulation. I remember visiting one classroom where the teacher said the noise was like trying to teach inside a beehive. Once they added sound-absorbing partitions, the difference was night and day.
A beehive. That's quite the image. What about the developmental side? Are there dividers that do more than just separate space?
Definitely. Many sensory dividers incorporate interactive activities, things like gears, latches, or textured panels. These aren't just fun, they're skill-building stations. They strengthen fine motor control, which is foundational for pre-writing practice. Sensory panels also provide a single, positive point of focus, which improves attention and acts as a built-in anxiety reducer for young children.
So they're multifunctional. You're creating a boundary and a learning tool at the same time.
Exactly. And for children with sensory processing disorders, autism, or ADHD, these panels offer predictable stimulation and can create dedicated quiet corners for self-regulation. The goal is inclusive design, supporting different learning styles and needs within one flexible space.
That point about inclusive design really sets up our next piece: how these dividers support every learner. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
At Little People's Cove, we help daycare centers, preschools, and early learning classrooms create organized, engaging environments with commercial-grade classroom dividers and sensory wall dividers. Our dividers define learning areas, reduce distractions, and support flexible spaces for both active and quiet activities. Many incorporate interactive sensory activities that encourage fine motor development and independent play. Built for durability, safety, and high traffic settings, our dividers transform open rooms into developmentally supportive learning environments. Learn more at www.littlepeoplescove.com.
Picking up on inclusive design, how do you handle classrooms that need to change layout throughout the day to support different learners?
That's where movable partitions shine. Rolling dividers and modular panels make it easy to turn one room into many. You can create a quiet corner in the morning and a group collaboration zone in the afternoon. Rearranging takes minutes, not months. I once worked with a preschool that used colorful 4-foot dividers to accommodate different age groups in one large open space. No permanent construction needed.
That's brilliant. So you're maximizing the use of every square foot. Have you ever wondered how smaller programs with limited space can apply this?
Great question. Even in tight spaces, portable dividers work wonders. One center used 6-foot-tall dividers to maximize a large open area while still allowing light and airflow. The key is choosing dividers that fit your specific needs. Height, transparency, and acoustic properties all matter.
Let's talk safety for a second. What should administrators look for to make sure dividers are safe for young children?
Safety is huge. Quality dividers feature engineered stability systems like wide, weighted bases or cantilever leg designs to prevent tipping during active use. Look for rounded edges, shatter-resistant viewing windows, and securely fastened sensory components. Also, materials matter. The best dividers use non-porous surfaces like finished wood, laminate, or vinyl, which withstand daily disinfection without degrading or harboring bacteria.
Those are really practical tips. And what about supervision? I imagine you don't want to create blind spots.
Exactly right. Transparent dividers are fantastic for this. They maintain visual connection for supervision while providing acoustic separation. You get the noise reduction without sacrificing sightlines. Clear pathways and well-defined zones are vital for creating a structured, accessible environment that reduces frustration and distractions. In other words, organized spaces lead to organized minds.
I see. Makes sense. So to everyone listening who's thinking about implementing dividers, what's the first step? How should administrators assess their needs?
Start by asking, what do you need the space to do? Are you building quiet reading areas, flexible breakout zones, or centers for different activities? Think about your students. Younger kids might need clearly defined areas to help them transition, while older preschoolers might benefit from collaborative group settings. Also consider lighting, visibility, and access to tools like whiteboards or technology.
That's a solid framework. And once you've got your zones set up, should you just leave them as is?
No, flexibility is key. Regularly test your classroom setup to keep it running smoothly. As class sizes shift or student needs evolve, your layout should adapt too. Don't be afraid to experiment. Trial and error often lead to the best results. Student feedback can also offer valuable insight into what's working and what isn't.
I love that. Involving the kids in the process. It builds ownership.
Absolutely. And throughout every change, stay mindful of sensory needs, accessibility, and equity. A well-designed space should support every learner, every day. Consistent research shows that a well-planned preschool classroom layout promotes increased attention, creativity, and positive affect in children. The classroom becomes what educators call the third teacher.
The third teacher. I love that metaphor. So we've established that classroom dividers help reduce noise, improve traffic flow, support developmental goals, and create flexible learning zones. Any final thoughts for administrators considering this investment?
Just this. Dividers transform open rooms into inviting, developmentally supportive learning environments. They help teachers manage classrooms more effectively and give children the structure they need to thrive. When space is well organized with open pathways leading to activities, children manage on their own, allowing teachers to attend to individual needs. That's powerful.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks so much for sharing all this insight today. This has been really practical and eye-opening.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to all of you listening, we hope this conversation gave you some actionable ideas for optimizing your preschool spaces. Start designing your classroom at Little People's Cove today.